Right now, you're seeing history happen. The moves on the screen are different from anything we've seen in months as old coins wake up in a big way. MAI is going up 265%. WorldCoin is going up by more than 51%. There are a few other stocks that are rising 7, 8, or even 20% this week, but the market as a whole still seems calm. This early action shows us that something much bigger is about to happen because the outliers always move first before a huge wave of cash pushes everything up. And this is not advice about money. I just want to quickly let you know something before we get into what's going on with altcoins, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. I put together something that can help you if you really want to find the next 100x chance. Coins are going up 20, 30%, but most of them are still in the red. We can learn two things from that. 1, alt season hasn't fully set in yet on the market. 2, Bitcoin and Ethereum are the leaders of the pack. When they catch fire, they'll drag the rest of the space with them. So don't worry if your coin hasn't changed yet. Just like the first sparks, these are signs of what's to come. By the month, it's still a sea of red across all altcoins. OKB is still there. The WLD WorldCoin is getting stronger. The CRO is popping. PYTH has made a 20% gain. These cases stand out because they show where the money is trying new things before the real flood of capital comes. It's kind of like scouts checking out the front lines before the main army comes in. Bitcoin and Ether will always be the bigger changes because that's where our attention should be. It looks like Ethereum is getting ready for a big move. Bitcoin is just beginning to get better. The best part is now here. Voices from institutions are proving what we already knew. Tom Lee came out this morning and said he thinks Bitcoin will reach $200,000 before the end of the year. No, that's not just a guess. At the moment, $111,000, that would be a 79% rise or almost a doubling in just a few months. As a point of reference, Bitcoin went up 121% from August to November of 2024. The most important part of that move didn't begin until November. It's not just that history rhymes, it repeats itself, especially in markets that go through cycles like crypto. This isn't the only thing that could cause a 79% rise if we see it. That's what's happening with Ethereum, XRP, and all the other cryptocurrencies. The alt season would be one of the biggest ever. Think about what will happen if Bitcoin's power starts to fall while its price goes through the roof. The money will flow into every other asset. That's when projects that people have given up on for months grow by leaps and bounds. But this outlook isn't just based on price movement. This time it was Congress that dropped a bomb. A bill that would tell the Treasury to look into a strategic Bitcoin hoard is being talked about right now. Bitcoin isn't the only digital asset in the stash. XRP, ADA, Solana, and Ethereum are also in there. Take a moment to think about that. Countries have been known to secretly store Bitcoin in the past, but the U.S. Treasury is officially building stocks in a number of digital assets. That's a level of proof that changes the way people think about crypto forever. When you add that to the upcoming Clarity Act, a bill about market organization, the U.S. might finally get the rules it needs. Together, these things will make the fourth quarter unlike any other we've seen. The last time a single change to the law changed the way finances worked, it let a lot of institutions join in. It looks like this will get bigger, since crypto is no longer just a test. Stablecoin traffic moves every month by trillions of dollars, making it an asset class. Also, yes, stablecoins should be mentioned in particular. The number of transfers has been through the roof, nearly $4 trillion just in the last month. That's not cash money. That's large amounts of institutional capital moving quickly, quietly, and at record highs through digital lines. When stablecoins get bigger like this, it means the war chest is getting bigger. Those funds aren't just lying around. When the time is right, they turn into assets. When we talk about time, every serious investor now has September 17th circled in red on their calendar. When the Fed makes its next decision, which is on that date, rate cuts are likely to start. If you remember 2024, the first cut didn't make a lot of noise. On the other hand, the market went through a huge jump after the second and third drops. Stocks went up, small caps went up, and crypto did better than everything else. This is something Tom Lee knows. That's why he wants Bitcoin to almost double in 4 months. Things are going really well with Bitcoin right now. The amount of 111K is supporting. A break above 112.6K at the end of the day could be the spark. Next, the short-term goal is $120,000, and if that flips, the way to $200,000. Only a few times in Bitcoin's history has there been such a strong rebound. Each time, it started an altcoin supercycle. Take XRP as an example. It is ready. Today, more than 40% more trades were made, bringing $6.2 billion into the market. It's now worth $2.94. That's not noise. It's building up. This morning, it touched $3. At the end of August, $3.08 was a barrier for XRP. If it can be taken back, it's game on for a run to $4 and beyond. The structure of the chart shows that the lows and highs are getting higher and momentum is growing. Setups like these don't last forever. They break quickly when they do. Ethereum is also set up. There are hints that it might test its trend line again, but that will only set up the next rise. Before ETH hits a new all-time high, it needs to clear and close above its previous daily and weekly highs. The altcoin market moves along with ETH when it does. That's why the ETH dominance picture is so important to keep an eye on right now. At the same time, altcoins that aren't in the top 10 are starting to win market share again. We haven't seen this kind of structure building since early 2024, just before all altcoins went through the roof and hit new life highs. The huge high points of 2021 and 2022 will be the next goal if this trend line stays in place and we break through the levels from 2023 and early 2024. That's how you know alt season isn't just a story. The charts show it. Everything fits together. Bitcoin is getting ready for a rough comeback. Ethereum is getting ready to break out. Volume is rising, which shows that XRP is strong. Congress is talking about the idea of a national store for digital assets. Rates were going to be lowered by the Fed in just a few days. The amount of stablecoins being sent is at an all-time high. These are not separate events. The pieces of this puzzle are coming together to make the clearest plan we've ever seen for an explosion in the fourth quarter. The best part? That being said, this cycle is still young. A lot of coins are still where they are. That's why these weeks are so important. The calm before the storm is when the biggest people get ready to lead the crowd. Because the breakout will happen right away. It's not pausing. It will tear even more, making everyone run after it. That's when the news comes out. That's when they get attention from the big guys again. That's when alt season goes from being a whisper to the biggest roar in finance. The trend is clear when you look at these cycles in a more general way. Every big rise in Bitcoin sets the stage for an altcoin season that lasts a lot longer and is much bigger than most people think it will be. In fact, the way things are now looks a lot like the times before some of the biggest moves in crypto history. Take a look at what Tom Lee said. BTC to $200,000 by the end of the year. That's not just a number that was made up. It's based on changes in monetary policy, the flow of money between institutions, and the way this market has historically moved. The price of Bitcoin could go that high, which would set off a chain reaction that affects many assets. Use XRP as an example. With trade volume going up 40% today to 294, it's already showing signs of accumulation. In the past, every time traffic grew by this much, prices went up quickly, shocking people who were watching. If the price goes through 308, it's more than just a technical win. This is the kind of breakout that brings in billions more in cash and speeds up progress. If Bitcoin is like the rising tide that pulls all boats, then XRP is like the fast boat that gets through the water first. You also can't say enough about how important Ethereum is to this trend. A lot of the digital asset space is built on top of Ethereum. When ETH works, the projects that are built on it gain popularity, DeFi's liquidity goes through the roof, and altcoins that are tied to its success rise in support. We still don't know for sure that ETH will end the week above its all-time high. That's the signal we're looking for. When it comes, it breaks through psychological barriers and lets prices be found. There's also the other's dominance chart, which is like a loss barometer that shows what's going on below the surface. It's been slowly going up for months, and it's now pushing against levels that were the starting point in early 2024. If this chart flips clearly, it proves what we already thought. Alternative coins that aren't in the top 10 are getting ready for the kind of run that makes tokens that aren't well-known instant household names. Prices alone don't tell the whole story, though. This cycle feels very different from the ones that came before it because of the background, rules, institutional uptake, and macroeconomics. Look at Congress and the ideas that are being talked about. A strategic store for Bitcoin and other digital assets is not a silly idea. It means that crypto is no longer seen as a niche. It is no longer a project. It is the machinery. When the government starts to plan a backup strategy around an asset, it goes from being a speculative move to a necessary one. It sets the stage for the idea that these assets are more than just risky tools. They are strategic resources. The Clarity Act is also very important. For many years, one of the biggest problems in the US has been that it's hard to see how the market works. What is a useful thing? What kind of thing is a security? Who has the power? Trillions of dollars have been sitting on the sidelines because of the unpredictability, but institutions want to be sure before they make big commitments. This bill is the key that opens the vault if it passes. It doesn't matter if you see prices going up or down. The huge amount of money that is being poured into the system will change the whole market. And stablecoins already show us what's to come. In 1 month, almost 4 trillion went through them. In digital dollars, that's the same as the GDP of some of the world's biggest countries. It's done on decentralized rails. That's math, not hype. And the fact that it's happening at a time when crypto prices have been pretty stable shows that banks are building their pipes right now. Prices will go up quickly, and those pipes will be full. The macro world is on top of that. Rates will be lowered soon. The first big date is September 17th. But the cuts that come after are more important, according to history. In September 2024, the Fed began to loosen up. In November and December, things really picked up speed. Things are going the same way this year with one big change. Crypto is now bigger, stronger, and more stable than it was back then. This story is supported by the way Bitcoin is structured. The area around 1.11K has been holding up as support. Every dip has been bought. Already, our low point is higher than it was in June, and the next leg up will begin if we close above 112.6K on a daily basis. These higher lows are what make a rapid rise possible. They show where smart money has moved in quietly before the crowd sees. When everyone else starts to notice, altcoins really take off. Bitcoin has always been the most popular cryptocurrency before other cryptocurrencies make their biggest moves. At the moment, authority is beginning to show signs of giving way. If that keeps happening while Bitcoin goes up, liquidity moves to the lower end of the range. That's how increases happen at the same time in ETH, XRP, ADA, and tokens that aren't even in the top 20. The part about market behavior is also very important. A lot of buyers are still being careful. Fear hasn't turned into greed yet. That's just right. Before the news stories that say Bitcoin breaks $150,000 or Ethereum reaches new highs, you want to be in a position to make money. This is because by the time those stories reach the mass media, the easy money has already been made. Don't try to catch the move. Instead, try to predict it. One more thing to remember is quantity. Bitcoin's amount is limited by math. Ethereum's is limited by the way it burns coins. A set amount of XRP is available at all times. When demand picks up, these changes in supply become more important. At the current level of volume, they feel doable. But supply shocks happen when institutional demand comes in, along with retail FOMO. That's why you get soaring moves instead of slow trends. Take a step back and think about the bigger picture of geopolitics. There is a race between countries to get the most digital assets. Even though El Salvador is a small country, it set a standard by making Bitcoin legal currency. Now, lawmakers in the US are offering reserves, regulators in Europe are setting rules, and Asian markets are speeding up adoption. A trend around the world. It's no longer controlled by a single area. The strength of this market comes from the fact that usage is spread out. In the meantime, creators keep working on the game at a speed that doesn't get much attention from the media. Even when prices aren't moving much, things like the deployment of smart contracts, the growth of layer 2s, and the development of new cross-chain infrastructure are all speeding up. That kind of preparation makes sure that the next bull cycle isn't just based on theory, but also on what's best for people. Let's put the pieces together. On the one hand, Bitcoin is stabilizing with higher lows, making it possible for a breakout above 112.6K with the goal of 120K. On the other hand, Ethereum is pushing against barriers, XRP is breaking through $3, and alt dominance is going up. Put that on top of institutional momentum, clearer rules on the way, record high transfer amounts for stablecoins, and upcoming Fed cuts. When all of these factors come together, an explosion in the fourth quarter is not only possible, it's likely. And the math is crazy if Tom Lee's $200,000 estimate comes true. The value of Bitcoin's market cap would reach all-time highs, making news around the world. That huge amount of money wouldn't just sit in Bitcoin, it would spread to Ethereum, XRP, ADA, Solana, and other cryptocurrencies. When momentum starts to build in crypto, there are opportunities everywhere for liquidity to find them. alt season will happen. The question is how big it will be. There are many signs that this is going to be bigger than the alternative seasons of 2017 or 2021 or even early 2024. Both the size and the scope of each cycle have grown. This one is bigger than all of them put together. That's why the question of when the moon will appear is less important right now and more about watching the structure take shape. Bitcoin is making new lows, Ethereum is spiraling, XRP is showing strength, alt dominance is growing, Congress is moving toward reserves, the Fed is cutting rates, and stablecoins are pumping trillions of dollars in value. It's a perfect storm, and the storm's center is coming quickly. The great thing is that it's still early. The real fireworks start when Bitcoin breaks through, letting all the money that was locked up in stablecoins sit on the sides flow back in. That time is almost here. Now the only question is who is going to ride it and who will stand on the sidelines and wish they had moved sooner. When these markets are moving, momentum is everything. It doesn't crawl after it flips over. It speeds up like a rocket. Again and again, this has happened in the past of crypto, and all the signs point to one of those times happening right now. Pay close attention to how Bitcoin is built. The higher lows show that more money has been added. Every dip is being taken in more quickly. There are fewer sellers now. More and more buyers are moving in. This is not the sign of a market that is about to crash. It looks like a spring that is getting tighter and tighter. This move is very strong and makes everyone pay attention when it snaps. That's why 112.6K is so important. The rise will happen when that level is closed out every day. It's not far to get to 120K from there. And from 120K, it's easy to get to 150K and even more. When 150K breaks, news starts to spread. Shoppers in a panic buy. Institutions are scrambling to get more attention. The standard domino effect is what makes parabolic growth happen. Look closely at Ethereum now. Chart has been teasing for weeks, trying to break through support, pulling back, staying in line with the trend, and then trying again. People don't just keep going like that by accident. It means that pressure is rising below the surface. While ETH hasn't officially broken out yet, when it does, it will set off a wave in the DeFi environment, NFTs, and Layer 2s. In the past, when ETH broke out, it meant that alt season had really begun. Expect the same thing to happen again. XRP is the secret card. At 294 and rising daily traffic, it's already going above and beyond what was expected. The fight is over that 3.8 resistance. If XRP can break and stay above that level, it will easily reach $4. As Bitcoin's value rises and money flows into other assets, XRP could easily follow suit and go up quickly. When XRP breaks key marks in the past, it hasn't moved slowly. It goes off. After that, there is altcoin control. One of the most overlooked charts in the space is this one. It's slowly going up right now, and it's about to reach levels that mark the start of big runs in the past. If it breaks and stays broken, it means that money is now flowing into altcoins. That's when wins on projects that aren't in the top 50 can start to look impossible on paper. That's the basis of real alt seasons. Moving of liquidity, changes in dominance, and faster retail focus. But this setup is different from all the others because of this. The technicals and the fundamentals are getting closer together. Congress is no longer just talking about digital goods. They are making plans for how to build up supplies. Think about how big that is. A U.S. digital asset reserve with Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, ADA, and Solana would be the best way to prove that crypto is real. The whole world gets the message that these assets are not just investments, but also important cash resources. One more thing that can't be ignored is the Clarity Act. As soon as the U.S. sets clear market structure, all big institutions that are being quiet will have no more reasons to do so. They've been ready for the go-ahead. When it does, money pours in. It always ends the same way when trillions of dollars in institutional money meet a fixed or limited quantity of money. Exponential good things. Steady coins should not be forgotten. $4 trillion worth of transfers in just 1 month. That's more than most stock markets handle in that amount of time. It's going on-chain around the world with little trouble. Cryptocurrencies that are stable are like giants that you can't hear. They also show that the tools are already in place for cash flows. With just one spark, money that is sitting in barns can be turned into assets everywhere. It's possible that September 17th will be that spark. Rate cuts are more than just numbers on a computer. They change how risk works in all types of assets. The first cut in 2024 was just a warm-up. When the cuts added up in November and December, the markets went straight up. Small caps went off, crypto went up, The stage is now set again. This time, though, the market for digital assets is bigger, stronger, and much more connected around the world. This is why Tom Lee's guess that Bitcoin will be worth $200,000 isn't so crazy after all. At $111,000 right now, a move to $200,000 is a 79% move. Yes, that's big, but Bitcoin has given people bigger things in less time before. And when you look at the big picture, the way institutions are set up and the sheer amount of capital ready to be moved, everything fits together perfectly. Now, what do? It was one of the most unequal chances of this decade. Even though Bitcoin is the main currency, the shift to Ethereum, XRP, and other cryptocurrencies will have a bigger effect. Every turn has been longer than the last one. 2017 shocked everyone. 2021 was much bigger than it. Things got ready for something even bigger in early 2024. There is more to this than just numbers and guesswork. It has to do with how macro policy, institutional adoption, clear regulations, and supply factors all work together. Each cause could make markets move on its own. They make a situation that is almost impossible to ignore when put together. Psychology is the last piece of the puzzle. A lot of people still don't believe. They are careful. They don't believe it. That is exactly what makes these places so strong. As soon as people start to believe it, the market has already changed. The time to get ahead of the crowd is running out, and when it does, the chase starts. And there it is, the chance right in front of us. Not in a few months, not in many years. As of now, Bitcoin is building its base, Ethereum is in a coil, XRP is testing resistance, and alt share keeps rising. The Fed is getting ready to cut rates while Congress drafts reserves, and the number of stablecoins goes through the roof. It's not often that things come together like this. When it does, it changes portfolios, changes businesses, and solidifies who will win in the next financial era.